What I'm going to talk about today, I feel that the people at an event such as this are really looking for two things. Firstly, I think that what unites a lot of people that come to Mind, Body and Soul or something like this is firstly that we're looking for an exceptional life. I think we're looking for something outside of the norm, some information that's perhaps outside of the norm, and we really believe that we can have something better out of our life, something more joyous, with more energy, more happiness, more clarity. I think the second thing that a lot of people are looking for is truth. I believe that people that come here, and some of you are truth seekers, you're not happy with the information that's been provided to you in the press and in the marketing messages that we're fed. You're looking for something real and something profound and something that can empower you to really change your life. And I really feel I can deliver on both of those today. I hope to deliver on both of those for all of you. The topic of this talk is called Eat from the Vine and Feel Divine. And it really is true. When we improve the quality of our diet, we improve not just the quality of our health and we move away from illness, but everything in our life becomes more colourful, more energetic, we have more passion because we really unleash our own potential when we are in line with our own health. The three things that I'm really going to talk to you about today, firstly, I would like to speak about the joy of health and why it's such a wonderful thing to focus on your health and really build your health and move towards that as a goal in your life and the sort of things it can help you with. I want to also talk about the risks of the path that people are following. The standard diet, the average type of diet that most people have been brought up on in this country and the risks that are inherent in that. And at the end, I'll give you some recommendations that I hope can help you and empower you to make some changes in your life that will be profound for your health. I was looking up a quotation today by the poet Robert Frost, and he said in one of his poems that two roads diverged in the wood and I took the one less travelled by. And that is what's made all the difference. And if you're looking for something exceptional in your life, you need to move out of what the standard path is, of what everyone else is following, that well-trodden path that's so easy for all of us to go down. But I don't believe that that leads in the right direction. Unfortunately, what we have is this massive society has this influence on us and effect on us, almost like a gravitational pull of a planet or the gravitational pull of a sun at the center of a solar system. We get pulled in to the average, we get pulled in to lower our standards towards what everyone else is doing, and the whole world is really serving that average idea and that average mentality. So we need to take steps away from that if we want to improve our health and improve our life. We need to take steps away from that and be strong with that and really get the information we need to really become our own center of gravity so that we are saying no to the things that people are telling us we should be doing or the practices or the common things that people have. And what we really have in this society is a multiplicity of all sorts of habits and addictions that people are struggling with. And I really believe you never really will know your true self if you're living a life full of addictions and everything else. Before I go into more of the meat of this talk, my name's Ronnie Smith. I'm 31 years old. 5 years ago or so, I embarked on a raw vegan style diet. But before that, I'd always been aligned with my health. I'd always been moving in the direction of making improvements in my life. For me personally, my rebellion as a younger person was not to start drinking and smoking and doing drugs and this kind of thing. My rebellion was the opposite. It was to actually think for myself and do things that I felt were healthy for me. And it didn't make sense for me to drink and smoke and do things like that I knew were damaging. And so I started to make little experiments. Do any of you know what I'm talking about? You do these little experiments with your lifestyle, you try things out, you want to see what effect it has on your life. We all try out things. And what I found was, as I tried these things out, I saw the improvements it had, and I started to make bigger decisions and started to give up certain foods. And I gave up eating sugar firstly, and that was a big thing because you're giving up all the different products with sugar in it. And I gave that up, and that gave me a lot of confidence to move to the next thing. And I tackled other addictions. I was always a bit of a binge eater. Like, I wouldn't just eat one thing, I'd eat like the whole packet or whatever. So I started to move away from that. And that gave me some confidence. I gave up sugar, I gave up caffeine, I started to make these changes. And it was really profound each time. You really got that feeling that your body was appreciating the difference because you were doing something better. Eventually, I got to a point in my life where I'd been in this path of improving my health, of practicing meditation and martial arts and things like that, basically a path of personal development. And I got to a stage where I kind of reached a plateau and I wanted to go to another level, and I sort of asked, or I was open to the universe, whatever you want to call it, to get something new in my life. And I started to come across all this information about raw food and raw veganism. And I just thought, this is the challenge for me. This is something that's going to be interesting. And I got really passionate about it, and it just really clicked for me. I'd been interested in going vegan, which is a diet without any animal products or meat or anything in it. I was interested in that because I'd seen a film that my friend had showed me, and I started to research it online because I really thought that a diet like that was maybe quite extreme, and you had to do something particular to get enough protein and this kind of thing. We all think things like that. And I came across a video with a raw vegan runner. He was an athlete called Tim Van Orden. And he said in this video, he said, people always ask him where he gets his protein from. And his answer was that he didn't eat protein, although that was just his joke, because his diet was just fruits and vegetables. And yet he was eating just raw fruits and vegetables, and he was putting on more muscle than he really should have been, because he wasn't training that much. And he was able to outrun the people that were half his age in marathon races and in races up buildings, which is what his specialty was running up very tall buildings. And when he said that, it really kind of shocked me, and it made me really, it just seemed so clear to me and so obvious that what he was saying, that there was some truth in it, that we could live on this kind of diet. So I started experimenting with it, and it was really a profound experience straight away. It was the difference in how I felt, various pains and things that I had already accumulated, even though I was relatively young, just disappeared within days, if not weeks. My whole outlook on life changed, my whole emotional state changed. For that first year, when I was eating lots of fruit and big fruit meals, I was going into states of intense joy and gratitude, that just for absolutely no reason. And it's a wonderful experience. And really that is what everyone should be experiencing, and that's how life should be. That's what health is. That's what being in line with nature's design is. Feeling divine, eating the food that comes straight from nature in its natural way from us. So that inspired me then to go around the world, meet more people, go to events and learn about this kind of lifestyle. And I met the leaders and the teachers, and I asked the questions, and I really learned more. And I met some fantastic people that had been living on a raw diet for 20 years, 30 years, people in their 70s, people in their 60s that had tremendous levels of performance, and that really brought it home for me. So I brought it home, and I started to try and promote it a little bit in Glasgow, and I've got a group, a Fruit Luck group, and I also started a festival, and we've had a couple of festivals in the last couple of years, and we've really been bringing teachers together and people together who want to experience that, and we've had some success with that, and that's been good. So that's really my story, and you can ask me more questions later if you want to, but we'll go into health. What I feel in society today is the weird kind of thing is that if I was to ask anyone in any room in the world, do you want to live a long and healthy life? Everyone would put their hand up. There's absolutely no one that doesn't want to have a long and healthy life, because what's the alternative to that? You know, a short, unhealthy life? There's just no, that's not an alternative that anyone would like. And yet, we kind of mock people that are on a healthy path or want to be healthy, and we try and get them away from doing that. We think that that's extreme. We use phrases like health nuts or a health freak or whatever. We kind of mock that. And in our society today, when people do get ill, what we really have is not a healthcare system, but we have a disease management system where people get ill, and so often they go to a healthcare professional or a doctor or someone, and the diagnosis is generally or often you've got X illness. We don't know what's caused it, but we can give you some drugs to kind of deal with the pain and deal with the symptoms. And no focus on finding out what the cause is, maybe eliminating the factors that are leading to that. Right now, across the country, across the world, there are people, the thing that makes me passionate about this, there are people going into rooms with doctors and everything else, and they're being told right now that life as they know it is going to change rapidly. That the life that they have in mind, the things that they want to do, the things that they have envisioned for themselves, that's not going to happen. There'll be young kids that are going to be told their idea of having a sporting career or whatever is not going to happen because they're going to be ill, they're going to be sick for life. There are going to be people that are going to be told all sorts of diagnoses out there that they're going to be sick. Well, I believe there is an alternative a lot of the time. I believe that alternative is to live healthfully, and it's as simple as that. And if we remove the factors that are causing disease, then we give our body the best chance to heal itself. And we'll go into that a little bit later, but so many of the common diseases, it's proven scientifically, it's absolutely known that they are reversible through diet. And yet that information is not really permeating our culture, it's not really getting out to people, it's not something that doctors are generally even educated on, and there's a number of reasons for that. I believe that healthcare is about self-care. You must learn to take care of yourself. And the reason you want to do that is because health is the most joyous and vibrant and wonderful thing. And it's the thing that really underpins everything in your life, is your health, your energy, your clarity, your ability to do all the things you want to do, have a clear mind, become the person you want to be, and be aware of all your needs and the things that the world demands of you. If we're not healthy, we can't focus on our dreams, our visions, our goals. There is a phrase that I like, that a person that has their health has 1,000 dreams, and the person that loses their health has only one dream. When you lose your health, that's all you're going to put your time, your effort, your energy into. Everything that you have envisioned and thought for yourself and the things that you want to do, that has to take a back seat. But if we learn to live healthfully from a young age, or from any age really, then we can reduce our risk of getting any of these problems. We can reduce our risk of disease, of illness, of disability, and we can really live an empowered life. What I also want to talk to you about is the risks of the standard diet. So the diet that most people on, basically if you were to walk down the street and you're going into restaurants or anything, the food that's available to everyone, the kind of standard diet, the eat anything you like diet, I really, really strongly believe, and not just believe, but have seen the evidence for this, that it is leading people in a direction that is not going to be conducive for your health for sure, but could be dangerous for you, could be very risky to you. And for some people it's worse than others for sure. But the standard diet is definitely leading people towards heart disease. About 50% of people die of heart disease. And we absolutely know now that this is a disease that is reversible through diet. It's reversible and preventable through diet. This is the work of a guy called Caldwell Esselstyn, who is a very, very experienced, very qualified doctor from America, who was actually a breast cancer surgeon. But he realized he was doing all these surgeries, but he wasn't helping anyone to actually prevent any illness occurring. So he did a study that was based on information that's out there already, where he took people who had heart disease and he changed their diet, and that was all he did. He got them to change to a different diet, and he had incredible results where people's heart disease was just disappearing. Now, when I talk about heart disease, what I'm talking about is the veins and the arteries that run through your body. If you consume this standard diet, this thing that everyone's on, these arteries and vessels start to get blocked up with plaque. it starts to plaque up. And this is inevitably happening to people, and it happens at a very young age. And yet what we hear is that this is something that's just happening because of old age. But it's not happening because of old age, it's happening because of diet. And the reason that we know that is when we compare what's happening in this country to what's happening in other countries, we started to see this difference. We started to see that some countries have certain illnesses and other countries do not. There is an Irish doctor, no longer alive. His name is Dennis Burkitt, and he trained in Edinburgh University. And he was trained to deal with all the diseases that were standard in Scotland and standard in the UK. So he was very well trained, but he had a missionary calling and decided to move to Africa to work in Uganda. What he found in Uganda was that no one had the diseases that he'd been taught to deal with. And this was startling to him, and he started to research this and look into this, and he thought it was maybe a difference in genetics of the African people or the Ugandan people. But then he found that that wasn't the case, because when the people from Uganda went over to America or to England, they started getting the same diseases as the people from England. So when he started to research this, he realized that it was a connection with diet. And this was something that had been seen by a lot of different researchers. There was a different diet, and that diet was preventing people from getting the illnesses that were happening in the West. And the only person he came across in Uganda that got the diet of heart disease at that time was actually a high court judge, I believe, that had studied in England and then came back and he picked up the habits of the English diet and he took that back home with him. So it's clear that the diet is really what the cause is, but that information isn't getting out there to more people. I had a conversation earlier on with a lady who was talking to me, and she has MS, multiple sclerosis. And that is a disease that is very prevalent in Scotland. And very few people would ever connect that with diet, because it's a problem with the brain, with brain lesions occurring. And people would think that maybe that's a complex genetic thing and it's, just bad luck or whatever. But the most effective, once again, people have looked at multiple sclerosis and said, why does it happen in this country but not in other countries? Why is it not happening near the equator? Why is it not happening in some other countries? And we look at people think it's maybe vitamin D or whatever else, but actually it's diet. And once again, this has been done. A man called Dr. Roy Swank, he had the best ever results for helping people with multiple sclerosis, and it was completely through diet. It was not to do with medication or therapies or anything like that. So we see time and time again, we start to see results. And when you start looking into this, when you start meeting people, you start to meet more and more people that have these incredible results, that have these reversals of illness because they just make changes to the diet. I have a number of friends, but I have one friend in particular, and she had an incredible change when she was in her mid-20s. She was diagnosed with a really crippling form of arthritis that was just going to leave her almost like completely like a mummy or something, like completely rigid, solid, not able to move. And she went into hospital and she saw these people that were in beds and couldn't move, and she was being told that that's what's going to happen to you. And she just said to herself, that's not what's going to happen to me, and I'm getting out of here. And they were all saying she was crazy for not taking the drugs that they were recommending. And she went out and looked for different therapies and things. And someone told her, she was already vegetarian, but someone told her to cut out dairy. And she did a few things like that. And it completely went away. She never had a problem again. Now, I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen for everyone, for every illness, for everything. But when she went back to the doctors and people and told them about this, they were completely not interested. And this is another commonality of something that happens. People that have these problems go into the doctor, they try something else that works, and no one's interested. And she basically told me she never wants to tell anyone about it. She's kind of embarrassed about the whole situation. And I'm just thinking about the thousands of people out there who've been diagnosed with this, who it's completely ruined their life. And because they maybe didn't have the option of trying what she did, and they didn't have the strong mind that she had to do what they wanted, that they've suffered. And it's that kind of suffering that saddens me a lot, that's happening out there. Once again, we see this time and again. We see people with illnesses and they're told that it's nothing to do with your diet, it's nothing to do with your lifestyle. And this is really, really crazy, I think, to be honest, because when you have a digestive problem, how could it be anything other than what you're putting in your digestive system that's causing it? And yet there's loads of people having lots of problems with digestive issues, once again related to diet. So it's all coming down to this standard diet is leading to a proliferation of all sorts of different expressions of illness. So it's not just about one person's genetics and one lifestyle factors or whatever, it's different expressions of the same thing, which is losing your health, which is ill health. And we can build that back by changing the lifestyle factors in our favor. So my recommendations for you, really, first and foremost, the most healthy food for human beings is fruit. And you want to go towards more and more fruit and raw vegetables in your diet. The Global Burden of Disease study was done last year. It was the biggest ever study on dietary causes of disease, illness, disability. And they found that the biggest dietary risk factor leading towards death, disease, everything else, was not eating enough fruit. That was the biggest thing. That was the biggest problem. If they could get more people, essentially what they were saying is if we could get more people across the country, across Europe and America and the richer nations to eat more fruit, we would see a huge reduction in disease and a huge reduction in time in medical care and things like that. That was more powerful than giving up cigarettes, was eating more fruit. So I recommend a diet of fruits and vegetables. I eat a diet of fruits and vegetables, basically 100% raw diet, but I certainly think that the steps you need to take are moving towards more and more fruit, more vegetables. And by the way, this is standard information. This is kind of all obvious stuff. But I also say move towards more carbohydrates. If you're not going to go towards a raw diet, you should be basing your diet on carbohydrates. That information comes from what's called the Blue Zones information, from the China study, from a lot of other studies like that, where the healthiest populations on the planet, the ones that have the highest longevity, the ones that live the longest, that avoid disease, these populations have been found and have been studied, and they've always been found to have a high carbohydrate diet. What you're going to find in society is you're going to find a lot of people telling you to eat a high protein diet, a high fat diet, and all this stuff. But this is really not good for your health at all, and it's not in line with the real scientific information out there. This stuff has really been studied very thoroughly for years and years, and what we want to move towards for health is a diet based on carbohydrates. The preferred source of carbohydrates, the best source is fresh fruit. But other forms of carbohydrates will certainly make a big difference in your life. You want to remove the foods that are causing disease, the foods that are high in saturated fat, the foods that are high in saturated animal fat and high in animal protein. So the meat, the dairy, these and eggs. You want to eliminate these as much as possible. And for a lot of people, that's going to be hard, but it's more in their mindset that it's harder than anything else. But these are the foods that are really not supporting your health. These are the foods that are harder to digest. They are problematic because they are full of saturated fat, which is really not good for our body. And they're high in animal proteins. And we tend to think that protein's a good thing. We want to eat more protein. But when we take in an animal's protein, if that leaks into our bloodstream, that can really cause a lot of problems because we've got a foreign protein in our body and our body wants to attack that and destroy it. And there's some evidence to suggest, for example, type 1 diabetes, that the problem possibly with that, what they found is they looked at the blood, they analysed the blood of a lot of children that had type 1 diabetes, and they found that almost all of them had cow's milk proteins in their blood. What that means is that the protein should be digested in our digestive system. It shouldn't get into our blood. But if you have a leaky gut and gut problems, and very young children don't have a developed gut yet, these proteins can get into the blood. The body then senses these proteins as being an alien invader and wants to destroy these proteins, and it creates what's called antibodies. So as people hear about this in vaccination, the antibodies go and destroy the proteins but the antibodies are made in such a huge quantity that they just roam around the body looking for anything to destroy that is of that same makeup. And if we have parts of the body that have a similar type of protein, similar amino acid profile, then these antibodies are going to destroy that as well. And this is possibly what's happening in type 1 diabetes, where the pancreas, a particular part of the pancreas, is getting destroyed. And it's possibly to do with this connection with cow's milk. So animal proteins can be destructive because it can lead to these autoimmune problems like diabetes and a few other things. Human beings are really frugivores. We are tropical primates. We come from a lineage of primates from the forests of Africa. The closest animals to us in terms of our physical design are the chimpanzees and the bonobos and the orangutans. And these are all animals that are highly vegetarian, move towards fruit and vegetables, and that's the majority of their diet. And that is really what we still are. We still have that nature. We still want to gather our food. We like colorful food. We like sweet food. We don't enjoy the idea of going out and killing and getting involved in blood and trying to tear things apart. We don't have the anatomy to do that. But our nature is gathering food, is going to places where there's lots of colorful, delicious looking food and just picking it to our heart's content. That is really what I believe is our true nature. And as we move towards our true nature, we fall in line with nature's design. We eat more fruit, we learn, we become more our true self, and we develop more insights about ourselves. So I hope that that's given a little bit of insight. I know I was saying quite a lot there, but I'm really passionate about this. I really think you want to move away from what the standard diet is. You want to move away from what's been served to you, what's been literally served to you on a plate, what's been shown to you as being healthy, to protect yourself, to reduce your risk of getting diseases and disability, to increase your possibility of living the healthiest life possible and the most vibrant life possible, and really doing everything you can and living as long as you can. You want to move towards health. You want to move towards the healthiest foods that are fruits and vegetables. So I commend that to you, and I want to thank you all today for listening. And if anyone's got any questions, or if you want to have a discussion, we can answer some questions now. I'm not sure how much time we've got left. Does anyone have the time? 1:30? Oh, we've got plenty of time. So I can answer some questions. I can go into more stories or whatever. I also have a little booth out there if you want to have a chat or a private consultation or speak about anything like that. I will offer a little bit of coaching. I'm certainly not a doctor. I don't make any claims like that. All I'm helping people with is getting the best out of their life by going towards a healthier lifestyle and going towards a healthier diet. So I think I can help some people with that. We're also going to be doing hopefully some more events in Glasgow. So if you'd like more information, you can sign up for some information here, and I'll give you some information about the Fruit Festival that's coming up in July 27th to the 31st. That's 5 days of just fruits and vegetables and some of the best teachers in the world coming together to share information that will help you, empower you to improve your health. And it's not about gimmicks or supplements or selling you anything. It's about really empowering you with the information and the education you need to empower yourself. Because so often in society, people are looking for a simple answer to something that's complex. People get ill and they're hoping that there's a simple answer, there's a drug or there's a pill or there's a potion or there's something out there that they can take and that will cure them. And unfortunately, there's also a lot of people perhaps through in the other room that are hoping that someone can magically cure them or give them something or do some kind of healing. And I love all those things. I think they're all great. But I don't think if you're looking for healing, you're really kind of looking for a miracle. And if you walk on water on a regular basis or you turn water into wine and you're a miracle worker, then you can really get away with anything. But I really don't think you can get away with living a life in the standard diet and not paying some of the consequences. We either pay the price for health or we pay the cost of sickness. And sickness is really, really expensive. Even though we think we get free health care, we lose our time, we lose our life, we lose our energy to do the things we want to do. So it really costs us a lot. And a number of fallacies that come up with health, that's one of the big ones, is it's too expensive. There was a lady earlier on speaking to me, and she said she couldn't give up meat. And I was speaking to her a bit about it, and she had a number of reasons why she couldn't give up meat. She eventually told me she has an avatar. I don't know if anyone knows what an avatar is. It's basically like someone that's proclaiming that they're a god that's come down from earth. And the avatar has said that she can't have a vegetarian diet, right? So, so really people come up with all sorts of reasons why they can't change. But certainly a healthy diet is not expensive, and if you don't pay and go towards a healthier diet, you're going to pay the cost later on in your life of illness, which is a much greater cost. The other fallacies are people say, well, I know someone that drank alcohol every day, had a bottle of whiskey every day, and they had a packet of cigarettes, and they had a fry-up every morning, and they ate a steak for lunch every day, and they never got sick, and they lived to be 120 and all this. Everyone's got a story like this. And if you really believe that, that's like me saying, and so people say, so why bother taking care of yourself? Because it's just about luck, or it's just genetics, or it's just your time to go, when you go. But to me, that's like thinking to yourself, well, I don't need to put any money in savings, or I don't need to have a pension or invest money in a business or anything, because I know a guy that won the lottery, and I'm going to hope to win the lottery too. And hopefully I'll win the genetic lottery, and I'll be the one person out of my entire generation that can live a lifestyle like that and live a long life. We also find that generally, if we pry into it a bit more, these people that live a long life that seem to be unhealthy, there's many things that might have been in their favor. They may have lived a very stress-free life. They may have lived a very happy life. All these things go towards our health. It's not just diet. The reason I've talked about diet is because it's an immediate thing that you can change, and it's probably something that a lot of people are not quite getting right. Whereas everyone's getting a night's sleep, and everyone kind of knows that they should smile more and laugh more and all these wonderful things that lead to better health. But a lot of people are getting the diet wrong, so it's nice to focus on that. I don't know, there was one other fallacy that I thought that people often say to me. Yeah, people say that it lessens their quality of life. Now, I kind of empathize with that. I used to be someone that really loved going to high-quality restaurants and all that, and eating anything I liked, and eating at any time of night, and enjoying that kind of lifestyle. But I really don't think it's a great quality of life, particularly if it's going to take you towards illness, possibly, or towards diminishing your life entirely. I actually think that living a healthier life is a fuller life, is more enjoyable, and the food actually becomes tastier. We don't take that long actually to change our taste buds and change our habit. It takes a little bit of time, but everyone can do it, and everyone can really start to enjoy the delicious natural tastes that are in fruits and vegetables. I really absolutely enjoy the food that I'm eating now as much as I enjoyed anything else in the past. And I've got mangoes out there if you want to take a free mango or whatever. These are some of the best foods I've ever eaten. My favourite fruit is called durian. It's available in Thailand. This is an incredible flavour, this fruit. And it's something that I'd have never had access to or never even thought about eating in the past. So I really hope I've given you something there. I hope there's some clarity, because we've got so much confusion in the world. And the reality is the science behind nutrition is simple, and it shows what's real. It shows fruits and vegetables are healthy. We want to have more carbohydrates in our diet. We want to reduce saturated fat. We want to stay away from reduce meat, reduce dairy, reduce all the animal fats in our diet. And we want to move towards more raw food. And this is just simple stuff that we all know. But there's so much confusion put out there into the press, in books. There's people that really want to believe things. And unfortunately, a lot of misinformation proliferates, and one of the big things that's coming out now is Jamie Oliver's sugar tax. So Jamie Oliver is trying to get the government to put a tax on sugar, and for sure, sugar is not a health food. It's not a good thing. But if you look through Jamie Oliver's books, the food that he's offering in those books is much worse than having orange juice with some sugar in it. This is not connected to illness. This is not connected to disease. There's not any really strong evidence showing sugars leading to any problem. And particularly diabetes. People connect diabetes with sugar. but there is no connection between diabetes and sugar. And actually, there's been studies that show that when people increase the sugar in their diet, that their diabetes actually improved. The reason behind that is because sugar is not causing diabetes. What's causing, well, I'm talking about type 2 diabetes, is once again, it's fat. It's saturated fat, it's the animal fat getting into the bloodstream, reducing our body's ability to deal with the sugar that is always in our bloodstream. We always have what's called blood sugar. We all know that. We all understand that. And we get mystified about this idea that sugar is causing bad health. But our brain is 100% fueled by glucose. The glucose and sugars are part of our cell metabolism, part of our respiration. All the food that you eat will be turned into sugar for the body to use as energy. That's really how it works. So when the sugar comes into our body can deal with that. The problem is if we start adding in lots of fat into our diet, we reduce the body's ability over time to deal with the sugar, to get the sugar where it needs to be, to get it into the cells. And that's really the problem with diabetes. And I don't really support the sugar tax. I don't think sugar is healthy or whatever, but it's certainly not as bad. It's not what should be focused on, I believe. So I want to really thank you for all coming here today. I'm happy to answer questions.
Could you give us an example of what you eat in a day and the ratio of fruit to veg, and what about the pesticides on the fruit?
Sure. What I eat in a day, for example, yesterday I made, or maybe the day before that would be better, but I usually have a big smoothie because I work an office job usually at the desk, so I can't just go in with a big bucket of fruit and start eating. But I'll have a smoothie and that'll have a lot of fruit in it. Usually sweet fruit, I tend to have at least one meal a day of sweet fruit, so I need to get all my calories from fruit. If I want to sustain a raw diet, you need to try and eat the equivalent calories that you get out of a smaller quantity of cooked food, you need to get out of a bigger quantity of fruit, because fruit is high in water and fiber, which are low in calories. But the calories from fruit really come from the sugar and the carbohydrates that are in it. So I would eat maybe somewhere between 10 to 20 bananas in a smoothie. Sounds like a lot, I know, but this is really not far off. If we look into the wild, if we look into what other apes are eating, they eat a high quantity of fruit. And we have, if you think about it, we're awake for 16 hours a day. Eating 20 bananas in 16 hours would really not be much hard work, really. But yeah, so somewhere between 15 and 20 bananas in a smoothie. I'll also snack on fruit. Later on, I'll maybe have what I made yesterday night, for example. I usually have some kind of vegetable meal, but I had some mangoes that I diced. I diced some tomato, some celery chopped up, some pepper chopped up, red onion, and I mixed that together into a salsa. And then I had lettuce, romaine lettuce leaves, and put that in there, and ate that like kind of tacos, like a kind of taco salad. So something simple like that with a big smoothie of fruit, a lot of fruit, and I like to buy fruit by the box because I eat a big quantity of it, and then some kind of salad later on, and maybe more. I get experimentation with things as well, but that's a kind of a simple day. The second question about pesticides. From what I've seen or what I've heard, what I've read, the pesticides are really not an issue, especially if we outweigh the benefit of the eating of the fruit and the vegetables compared to the very small risk of anything happening with the pesticides. The pesticides are designed to kill very, very small creatures. They're taken in a huge quantity of that. But what we've got to remember as well is when we're talking about pesticides, I mean, alcohol can be a pesticide. Coffee can be, caffeine can be a pesticide. So these things in that quantity for a very small creature, it overwhelms them. For us, it doesn't overwhelm us, but people are happily putting in huge quantities of caffeine and alcohol and cigarettes and everything else into their diet, and then they worry about pesticides. And to me, I just don't understand what the problem is. All the studies and things like that, the benefits of eating fruit and vegetables, even that has been sprayed, far outweighs any small risk pesticides. And as I say, the major illnesses and the major diseases, these are not being shown to be caused by pesticides. These have been caused by the standard diet. The other thing to say is if you're worried about pesticides, you want to eat lower down in the food chain. So if you're eating fish or cows or whatever, they're eating food that's been sprayed with pesticides. So that pesticide accumulates in their body fat and accumulates within the meat. So when people eat meat, they're taking 100 times more pesticides in than you would take in fruits and vegetables. So absolutely, I don't worry at all about that. I think environmentally, it's probably a better choice to have organic. But organic is not really seen to be healthier or anything, or tastier or anything. It's possibly better for the environment and better for farming and things like that. But I would not worry at all about pesticides. And it really concerns me that I offer fruit to people and they say, is that organic? And I know that they're eating a total junk food diet and they're worried about the pesticides in strawberries. So I wouldn't worry about that. No problem. Has anyone else got a question or a comment or a discussion, or would anyone like to talk about the fruit festival they were at last year? Simon, has anyone got a question for Simon? Well, thanks a lot for coming. I'll make a small pitch then about coaching. If you're looking for help or advice with coaching, I don't generally do it, to be honest. I've never really done it that often, but some people have approached me about they're looking to make a change and they want some help with it. So I will offer coaching. Usually what I would do is offer either 10 sessions or 20 sessions, and generally it would be £40 per session. So that would be, for 10 sessions, it would be £400, for 20 sessions, 800, but I'm going to take off 100 for the 10 sessions. So if you're interested in that, that's £300, and I'll take off 200 from 20 sessions, and that'll be £600. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching with me, or phone coaching or Skype coaching, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, and I'll make that available for you all today. As I say, the value of that over the course of your life, it sounds expensive, but if you think about living a healthier life, reducing your risk, living a longer life, what would you pay for that, for every day that you have of really freedom from illness, of freedom from addictions, of greater energy? And if you would pay £1 towards that the rest of your life, then that would be tens and tens of thousands of pounds worth of value to you. And as I say, it's just a small amount in relation to that. So if you're interested in that, I'm also giving free consultation time. If you want to come and have a chat to me, I'm not a doctor, I'm not licensed in anything. I don't really believe in any of that. I'm just going from my own experience. I'm going from what I've learned from the people that I've come across. And I really want to keep you away from some, to be honest, even in raw food and even in natural health and alternative health, there's a lot of nonsense out there. There's a lot of people going down all sorts of weird paths and avenues. And part of the thing with the festival we're doing, I want to try and keep people away from that and make sure they get the best advice and the common sense advice, and not stuff that's been influenced by all sorts of weird ideas and paranoias and everything else. So if you're interested in that, please speak to me today about that. And if you want to sign up, I'll pass this round. If you're interested in hearing more about the festival, then please feel free to sign or just pass around. Is there anything else anyone would like to ask or discuss, or anything someone would want to bring up? If you believe that anything I'm saying is wrong, I'm happy to, if you've got information to tell me I'm wrong, I'm happy to listen. You know, I want to learn more as well. So if you've had a different experience, then please feel free to tell me about it. But you know, come and get a mango, and or a banana even. And
see, I wanted to know, you mentioned the sugar.
Yes.
You've not mentioned the difference between like processed sugar and sugar from fruit.
Yeah, the difference from sugar from fruit and processed sugar is that the processed sugar has been removed from the other things that are in the fruit. So really, nutrition is about a symphony and not about solo, you know, instruments, if you think about it like that. It's about a whole package of nutrients coming together. It's about the fact that the sugar's coming into the bloodstream, but it's also got the antioxidants coming in with it. It's also got the fiber coming into it, so it's delivered in the right time. It's got all there's millions of or thousands of phytonutrients that come along with it. When we just simply take sugar out of the fruit and we process that down, and also what people do is they add it to something else. But when we take that in itself, we're not getting all the other things. We're not getting all these things that it's meant to come packaged with. So that can lead to some problems. It certainly leads to it coming into the bloodstream faster, and it leads to some oxidative stress or oxidative damage. which is why it comes across, which is why it's healthier with fruit, because fruit has antioxidants, so it should come like that. And there's absolutely no harm whatsoever from the fruit, from the sugar from fruit. And I really don't think there's a huge amount of harm from sugar in general. I personally find sugar very addictive, and I've also found personally that when I've eaten a lot of sugar, I'll often feel depressed the next day. I have like a reaction like that. It just brings me down a bit. So that's why I avoid sugar in a big way. But I've never had any problems from fruit. And certainly if you go and look at the diabetic websites or anything like that, they never tell people to give up fruit. There's still a lot of people that think they should give up fruit, but the science and everything is not showing that. It's showing that fruit and the sugar from fruit and the sugariest fruit possible is completely healthy for you. It's completely good for you in abundance. It's a health food. We all know it's a health food. As soon as we start taking things out and processing things, then it becomes a compromise. But there's certainly no problem with the sugar from fruit. And I don't believe that sugar in general is the demon that it's made out to be. But fruit is better for sure. Okay, anyone else? Are you happy with it? Have I given you something today to think about? Do you feel like you've got something out of that? Have I wasted your time?
Where's your festival being held?
The festival's in Gloucester, actually. Gloucester. But we have people coming from Trinidad, so it's no excuse to say that you're from... We actually have someone signed up from Trinidad. And we had a guy signed up from Brazil, because some of the teachers have an international following and so on. So I guess people want to come for a holiday. But I would like to do things here as well. So if you either let me know or sign your name down on the thing, I'll get more things going on in Glasgow, and we can do more discussions and learn more, and maybe bring some speakers up here more often to learn. So that would be good.
Thank you.
No problem at all. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thank you.